We're back, and you're talking to Mr. Legendary. I had to come back because it felt like I was being called out. The last time I was here, I made a video about singer Neo's wife. Let me get my mic together. Not like last time. We got a little together. We working on it, y'all. The last time we was here, we was talking about Neo's wife, and one of my big pieces of advice to her was stay in your marriage. Let me turn this down a little bit. Stay in your marriage. Stay with your husband. Make it work because y'all created a family. And unfortunately, most people, especially as modern men and women, don't understand that family is bigger than self. When you agree to create a family with somebody, we're agreeing to do something that should supersede our needs and supersede our happiness. And the problem with one of my commenters, to make sure I'm background music loud, the problem with one of my commenters is they told me that I was speaking for self by advising her to stay in her marriage. Or I was speaking for men, trying to take the man's side and do my best. Let me explain something to y'all about this YouTube channel, my coaching, my consulting, everything that I do. When I first decided to do this, I knew I had a voice for it, and I knew I wanted to speak to people about certain things, but I didn't want to speak from my perspective. I'd rather speak to people based on my experiences, based on the things that I've learned, and based on the things that I know now with the accumulation of everything, with the accumulation of the experiences, with the accumulation of what I've learned, and pack all that together and then give advice based off of that. Not just based off of what I would do. I don't name my channel what would Larry do. I don't name my channel what would Larry think. I want it to be about what the men think. So when I give advice, I'm giving advice from a general perspective, a man's perspective, or what, based on the information that I have gathered, what I believe is the best course. I rarely give my personal point of views on the things that I speak on. When I spoke on Neo's wife staying in her marriage, let me make one thing clear. I'm not perfect. I would not stay with a woman who's chosen to sleep out. I would not stay. That does not mean I cannot advise people to stay. Because if I were advising me, if I came to me, if Larry sat down in Larry's chair and said, hey man, I got this girl, we got 3 kids together, she stepped out, man, I don't know what to do. Stay the fuck there. That's what I would tell him. Stay there and deal with it because you created that. But if it were me making a decision, I'm gone. Because my emotions get involved. This is why I say over here we speak in facts, not emotions, because I'm able to make sound decisions and take my emotions out of the things that I come to you with. Because I've sat down, I've gathered the information, I've weighed the pros and the cons, and I said, you know what? This is probably the best course of action for the people who choose to listen to Larry Legend. With that being said, as you can see, we have this video up in the corner. I'll be getting confused with the corner. Up in the corner right here, we have this video. It says Kevin Samuels is right once again. This is all gonna tie into it. I promise y'all. Just give me some time. Give me some time. Sit here, relax, hit that like button, hit that subscribe while you're here. Just give me some time to tie all this together. We're gonna watch this video. It's about kind of like the unrealistic standards of the modern women today. And it kind of reminded me of the woman who was telling me that I was in my feelings, telling me that I was wrong and being a man. And I thought about this video. So let's go ahead and start playing this now. And we're going to stop it if we have to talk through it. But basically, let me give you some context. She's on a date. This is a matchmaking show called Matchmaking Atlanta. I found the video. Somebody sent me this video. And it was absolute gold. I've been sitting on this video waiting on where I would want to tie this into it. I might even tie this into something else. But this was perfect. It's gold. She went on a date, basically a blind date through a matchmaker. She went to the matchmaker and said, hey, I want you to find me a husband. She's 42, no kids. Very masculine and very picky. And she has a problem and she wants help. So She went to this matchmaker, and the matchmaker paired her up with somebody who she believed could, be a good fit for her. Let's watch how that goes.
November 12th. So it's Scorpio.
November the 23rd.
Oh, hell.
What?
We gonna clash.
Sagittarius, come on.
Ken has a lot of masculine energy. He's retired military, and I want her to show up in her beautiful feminine form on this date.
I'm a certified scuba diver.
What?
Yeah, I'm a little different type of black girl.
I like that.
But yeah, so part of my birthday
So I
trip.
can't swim, so you say,
Oh, hell no.
hey, I can't swim.
Every time he says something, just notice how she's automatically going towards the defensive. God damn, she's basically like, damn, here we go, another thing wrong. She's looking for things to be wrong with this man before she can even figure out what's right. Oh, hell no. That's why you keep saying, oh, hell no. Ma'am.
Oh my God, this man don't know how to swim. Lord Jesus, Father God. Okay, please don't take this the wrong way, but I observe a lot of stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
You got out of the Uber.
Right.
Do you not have a vehicle?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Too busy trying to worry about what's wrong than to worry about what's right. This is one of the main problems with modern women today is we believe that, modern women believe that y'all can just pick based off of the things that y'all believe to be worthy to y'all. I thought about this when I was thinking about the unrealistic lists of women. The list. He has to have this checked off, this checked off. They have a list of about 20, 30 things. Some of them even will say, you know what? All right, even though it's 30 things, I really, really only need about 15 to 20 things off that list. I've had people come to me with these lists, and the first thing I ask is, what is your absolute can I live without? And most of them can't narrow it down to just one or two. They claim it's down to one or two, but when you get into the real deep down questions, just like what she just pulled right here, when you get into the deep down questions, there are certain things that they just cannot have without. She basically just already told him, listen, I can deal with the fact that, you can't swim, but a car, it's major to me. And a lot of women don't understand how major some of these things are to y'all because y'all have these unrealistic standards that y'all have to date Superman. You have to have Superman. You're not willing to give on that 100%. So you sit around here and you nitpick and you nitpick and you nitpick and you get to the point to where you got a 95% man, but because he doesn't have that 5%, you're ready to leave, and that is crazy. What this woman has is a man who she's obviously interested in. She's going to get into it later on down the line, but she's interested in, and she automatically said, wait a minute. You don't have a car now. I need to make that clear on the first date. She needs to make it known that he has to have a vehicle. What happened with Neo's wife is that she chose a man who was financially, I'm trying to think of the word for it, but he was financially great. He's a great earner. He's a high earner. That's what I was looking for. He's a high earner. She chose that. She did not have to pick that. When you all pick based on earning, you're giving away certain things because I'm gonna just say it. Most high earning men come with a different type of characteristics, come with different types of honor, comes with different types of respect. If you want a man to respect you, then you need to go find a man and pick them based on respect. Don't pick them based on the finances and then says, well, I'm going to hope that he can get over here to the respect, or I'm going to hope that he eventually gets, I can make him start to respect the other things that I want him to respect. No, that's bullshit. Just like Neo's wife, if you value the man to keep his penis in his pants, then that's what it should have been the first thing you started dating for. Is, am I with a man who's going to only have sex with me? And I know for damn sure there is no woman in this world who can look at Neo or any type of singer who's worth $9 million and say, I'm pretty sure that this man will never sleep around. Because you know what? It was good enough for Beyonce. Jay-Z has the most famous, she was the richest, the most famous woman singer in the world. And he cheated on her. Why? We don't know. That's not the point. The point is that this is the type of things you're going to get from most high-earning men because you're dating them based on their finances and not based on their character. If you want character, then date for character. But I'm getting off topic. Let's go ahead and get back to this video.
Yeah, I don't care what type of vehicle it is, as long as it works.
I wanted to meet with you to ask you your thoughts on the date that you had with K1. I got his thoughts. I'll share with you what he said. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. First impression was good. He wasn't as tall as I would like them to be.
Picky again. Picky, picky, picky. Her problem was that she was too picky, and she's still being picky even with a matchmaker. And one of the biggest problems with the matchmaking scene, and even watching this show, is a lot of matchmakers are afraid to give that initial evaluation on their clients. It's tough for somebody to come to you and, you know, they say, listen, I want this, 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 and this. And it's tough to turn around and say, okay, but you're 3. You're ugly. You're big. You're dressed like a man. It's tough. It's tough to say this stuff, and I don't blame her because this is the person that's supposed to be paying you money. That's not the first thing you want to say. But unfortunately, this is why most people don't get into matchmaking because it's so... Most of the people that want to get the matchmaking done are people who have some type of problem that they can't get it done by themselves. I know there's the occasional, rich lawyer who looks good, but she's just antisocial. But majority of the people that are going to matchmakers have a problem finding people on their own, so they go to somebody else to see if they can do it for them. Most of the people who do this are sometimes overweight. Sometimes they lacking, I can't even say lacking in the pockets because you wouldn't be paying for a matchmaker. But most of the people are overweight. They got some type of social issues, or they just not the best lookers. This woman coming to this lady and saying, listen, he already not as tall as I want. She's 42 with no kids. Wow. So they keep playing.
Everybody's taller than me, so that's okay. I let him know that, we can go out on another day. And I said, don't let it be 3 days.
I don't know who the hell she thinks she is. She's very masculine. This probably explains the hat. She's very masculine. She probably should be with a woman. She has a lot of masculine energy and I wish I could have played the first part of this date for y'all, but I wanted to get to the point. First part of this date, when they were like walking up with the blanket, he tried to put the blanket down. She's like, no, I'll scoot it over here. Let me take that basket while you go do that. She's giving him commands. And it's going to show like what his response right now.
Today's Thursday, and I haven't heard from him. I was open.
Okay, I need to tell you.
Tell him.
He said,
So that day was probably the worst day that I've been on.
wow.
So you shouldn't have took my number.
Well, he didn't use it, so it didn't matter.
True.
So he said you were aggressive.
Still on your first passport?
Still on my first passport.
Okay. Do you take your kids traveling out of the country?
No, I haven't taken them out of the country, no.
Is one mom?
Oh, 2 moms.
Okay. Were you married to either of them?
No, I wasn't.
Why not?
This is
on the clock.
crazy.
What it sounded like you were doing was drilling him, interviewing him to ask him questions to see if he measured up to you.
And look at how she rolling her eyes. Mind you, listen, y'all. She paid this woman to come to her, get her expert advice. She paid this woman for her to do her job because she's good at what she does. She said, I want to pay you to hook me up. And then even still, while she's trying to give her the feedback, she's, I can't believe he said this. I can't believe you're telling me what I'm supposed to do. Hasn't worked for you in 42 years. 42, to the point where you have to pay someone to try to do it for you, and you still don't want to listen. Still. Because of your unrealistic list and your unrealistic standards, it's crazy.
Now, would you be interested in a vasectomy?
It's not even a first date question. Look at his face. I'm glad he made that face because that's crazy. He probably look at the camera like, y'all gotta be punking me. Y'all gotta be punking me. There's no way a woman acts this on a first date. But the one thing I will give you, because I've said this in the past about people, is don't be mad about what people show you, because it's giving you a direct insight into what you can expect. And I'm actually happy she didn't play a feminine role and play like somebody else and get this man on 2-3 dates and then start showing this, then she'll have wasted a bunch of time. I'm actually prefer her to show this. I prefer you to be your genuine self. The problem is her genuine self is not attractive. That's crazy. Look at his face.
All I needed her to do was enjoy him. Ask him questions, touch him, laugh. Just enjoy the date so you get a second date and then a third date. Then you can ask if he's happy.
It's tough to do that when you're not fit for the type of things that you want and you have these unrealistic standards. It's one thing. So it's two sides to this dating thing. It's what you want and then what you are. Her problem is she was lacking in both. You want too much and you're way down here in what men want. Way down. You don't have none of the traits. You're too masculine. You're not feminine. You're not attractive. You're too big. You're 42. No kids. The chance of you having kids has dwindled down to like 5%. This is crazy. And more than likely, it sounds like she didn't even want any more kids. So you're just going into it telling the man, I want you to wife me, but I don't want you to even get kids out of it. That's crazy. That defeats the purpose for even marrying. The purpose of marriage is to create a family. If you're not creating a family, then why the hell would we need to get married? This is going to tie into what we're about to get into over here on my YouTube channel. As you can see, Larry Legend Speaks. Y'all go and support the channel. Go subscribe. Hit that like button on this video. Share it so that we all can grow. Let's go ahead and hit that robot voice one time.
Hit that like button. Go ahead. I know you want to. Go ahead and hit that button so we can make this channel grow. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
So, now that we're back, let's go ahead. The comment sections. I wasn't going to show this, but it's a public comment section. She went straight on the video and she went straight to attack mode on this video. To be completely honest, it actually felt like she was being more personal and she was being more emotional based on the things that she was talking and trying to tell me that I was being emotional on. But we're going to go ahead and get into it anyway. So, she stated, Mr. Larry, Neo is married, period. Neo ruined his family because I specifically stated that Neo did not ruin the family. Neo may have ruined the trust in his wife. I'm not reading anymore. Neo may have ruined the trust in his wife, but he did not ruin his family. I will stick to that forever. The problem is that most women think that if you stop pleasing them, then you automatically get cut off from stop pleasing your kids. Those two things are not the same. I can be a great father without being a great husband. Those two things don't coincide. That is emotions talking. He did not cheat on his kids. He did not go and create another family and start dismissing his kids to go be with the other family. He had a thing on the side that he paid for. He made sure that he was paying for it to keep it separate. Neo could have easily lied and said, you know what, me and my wife, he could have pulled a Derrick Jackson. Me and my wife on a break, I want to deal with you, and that's it. He said, no, I want to do it the professional way. I want to have a professional relationship with you while I maintain my house and my family over here. And he kept them separate specifically for this reason. He made sure he did that. He did not say, I want to leave my family. If anything, I would argue when you put the emotions to the side and you look at the facts, you look at what Neo did, he specifically said, I want to make sure I maintain my family while also making sure I get my pleasure or whatever I want to do on the side. That's what he wanted. That is factual. It shows in what he did. Let's get back to reading. Neo ruined his family. Neo withheld vital information to put others at risk. He did not. The only person that didn't know what was going on with his wife, which I'd argue probably wasn't even real. Bottom line, divorce is not a sin, therefore she is not returning a sin with another sin. It says you're supposed to stay in a marriage till death do us part. That is your vow. And I actually told her, you know what, I correct myself. I was getting mixed up with vows and sins. And I later on explained how I was mixing that up. because I didn't want to make it a big Christian thing because I wanted this to be just more so about marriage, but it ended up getting into Christianity a little bit. But let's go ahead and keep reading what she was talking about. The rules are not different based on income. They are Christians, and in Christianity, the wage of adultery is worse than homosexuality. Something about the death penalty. So, can we stop pretending that someone's income makes them deserve to have indiscriminate sex with people they don't intend on making a family with? Let me explain. She's again not understanding what I said. What I said is that more people should understand that when you deal with men that are high earners, you're going to deal with things like this. Because most of them have options that we can't comprehend, and most of them are going to act on those options as they see fit. They do it. Most men want to have sexual intercourse with multiple women. Most men don't have the option to have sex with multiple women. So most men stay monogamous and do what they please. If you ask men, and if you ask me, this is my personal opinion, most men are only as loyal as their options. When you get up to that high earning stage, your options are overwhelmingly. And for the most part, most men are going to exercise those options. That's why we saw Jeff Bezos get divorced. That's why we saw Dr. Dre get divorced. That's why we saw, the dude at Apple, I forget his name. But his wife said that he had a girlfriend who he would just deal with, during the years. What happened in all three of them scenarios, and I commend, and I wish more women would pay attention to this, what happened in all three of them scenarios is those wives said, I have a bigger obligation. I need to stay. Make sure my kids are at the house. Make sure my family well and taken care of. Make sure my kids grow up in the best environment I can provide them possibly, which is two parents that are together making it work so that y'all can get out the house. And then once I'm old and crusty and all this shit is over with, then I can decide to go worry about my happiness. But once I decide to sit down and have these kids with another man, there is no more me. There is we. If a man does something to you that does not give you the right to wreck the family and blame him based on what he did to you, if you want to blame him and you want to sever the relationship with you and him, but still make sure the family thrives, that's fine. If your man decides, if you got a husband and he decides he wants to sleep around and you says, you know what, you go ahead and keep doing that, I'm going to start doing me. But as far as these kids concerned, we're going to stay in this shit together and we're going to live in this house and make it work until they out this house. Then after that, we can worry about this happiness shit. But we agreed to do this. We signed a contract to do this. We got in a marriage to do this. So that's what the hell we need to do above all else. And that's where me and this commenter start clashing, because I don't think she understood that when I gave you all this advice, I wasn't speaking about Larry Legend. I was speaking about what is the right thing to do, period, for the family. We spend too much time arguing over single mothers, bastard kids, poverty, child support, diseases, women being messed up over body counts, and then turn around and make concessions for cheaters in marriage. I can go along a little if they wasn't married. Come on, this is an open and shut case. If she was the one who cheated unprotected or protected, we both know her losing her family is a given, no question. I hate the fact that the more income men and women get, the more entitled they feel. The more they feel they don't have to adhere to basic decency. Let me tell you, that will never change. It will never change. And that's one of the reasons why we played that video before, because she believes that because she has the income and she's able to take care of herself, that she can make these unrealistic demands. The real problem is accepting the fact that shit is like that. That's the real problem. Is that we can't accept that once we choose to deal with people who are on a higher financial level, they're gonna be like that. It just is. So what we can do is we can choose to deal with people based on their character. We can choose to deal with people based on how they are and based on how they treat people. We don't have to deal with people based on how much money they have. But we have people like this, and we have people like Neo's wife who choose to deal with higher earning men and get mad that they act like higher earning men. You don't have to deal with that. Pick better. Let's go ahead, because I'm going to get into something else. I don't want to read all her comments, because she can type, I tell you. We've talked before, and I don't have no ill will towards her, but I do. We like to speak our mind with each other. And I'm going to speak my mind and I'm going to call you out on some shit, especially if you try to call me out on my shit. But I give y'all the leeway to call me out on my shit. Just make sure y'all come over here with facts, not emotions. I replied, can you show me the vow? I meant to say vow. Can you show me the vow that says when you're not happy, you can leave? Last time I checked, it was in sickness and in health till death do us part. Show me the part that says if one cheats, that's justification to leave. No, what we focus on too much is being the one who looks better to social media. That's her husband who she made vows to stay with until death. Not until he fucks someone else. Murder is a sin. If I murder someone defending my family, does that mean my wife should divorce me for sinning because it looks or feels bad? No. Sinning is not a reason to leave a family. Neo didn't leave. He messed up and shouldn't be punished. But her leaving the family, but shouldn't be punished, but her leaving the family ruined the family. I should have put a comma. Till death do us part is not found in any Christian doctrine. Now she wants to try to go to the Bible about it, but let's go ahead and read it anyway. If the God they made vows to don't care about splitting up families, commanding that the adulterer be put to death, what obligation does she have to care more than God? Her saying she's hurt comes with it. Doesn't matter if she should take him back. Balance will be restored in terms of him receiving his karma. You think those kids deserve to live through that? I think those kids deserve to live in a household with two parents that created them. That's what I think they deserve. I don't care about individual happiness. I don't know what's wrong with the modern women in this individual happiness. Once you decide to have kids, once you decide to sign this contract that say till death do us part, we should at the minimum stay together until those kids are well taken care of and grow up in the best environment for them, which is not a single parent household. It is not. That's not the best possible environment when you have two parents who are able to still stay together and make it work for the benefit of the kids. Let's keep reading. Let's stop feeling bad for the kids when the ramifications are enforced versus when the person decides that their sexuality is more important than raising that family in their own word to God and family. Stop conflating sex with him being a bad father. Those two don't This is where she started pissing me off, and I actually wasn't even reading all this. I was reading the first paragraph and I already knew where she was going with this because that's being emotional. You're making it like, even myself, I told y'all, what I would do is different than what I advise other people to do. As a coach, as a consultant, it's not my job to give my specific personal belief on what people should do, but what's best in the interest of the person, the family, and whatever else they explain to me that's going on in the scenario. Neo's wife has 3 kids with a $9 million man. The youngest is 3. Nobody can tell me that the best thing for that 3-year-old is to make sure that his mom is happy and grow up in a single household versus mom being a little mad at her husband for cheating, but still being raised with 2 parents that both love him. She never questioned Neo's fatherhood and none of that statement that she gave. She never questioned his ability to raise his kids. The only thing she said was he lied to her about who he was sticking his penis in. That does not mean in the family. That does not mean he stepped out on his family. That means he stepped out on his wife. Let's go back to what I said. Till death do us part is a part of the vows. I was actually wrong because I was saying that not committing adultery was in the vows. It's not. So when you go get married, you make these vows and you have to follow these vows to your spouse and to God. Adultery is a sin, but not included in the Christian vows. So is that a reason to break up the household? See, an argument is, well, he did something, so if she doesn't like it, she should be able to leave. Granted, but that's specifically breaking the vows because it still says till death do us part. Neo didn't leave, he sinned. He didn't break his vow, she did. A mistake or sin is not a reason to destroy a family. She didn't say anything about being a bad father. She said he was a bad husband. Granted, she can believe that, but that's not a reason to break up a family according to a Christian doctrine. Type that twice. Being a bad husband does not make you a bad father, but because women care more about their feelings, you feel it's okay to destroy a family based on a man slept with another woman. Then don't have children. That's not a decision in the best interest of the household. I feel like I'm hearing feedback. It's a selfish decision based on the interest of the mother. Why do I still sound like I'm hearing feedback? I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all hear me now? All right, I don't hear no feedback. You're playing now. The Bible makes it abundantly clear that adultery is an abomination and punishable by death. She skipped past what I said. We was talking about sins and vows. The purpose of making it clear of what a sin and a vow was, because as I stated, a sin is something that you have to answer to God for. This is in Christian. For anybody who's not a Christian, when we sin, the only person we have to answer to is God. I don't have to answer to you about me sinning. When we break our vows, I have to answer to the person I made the vows with, and we made it under God. So I have to answer to my wife and to God. In the vows, it doesn't say anything about committing adultery. It doesn't say anything about sticking your penis elsewhere. Only thing it says is I have to, for better or for worse, till death do us part. That's the vow you make with the spouse. So if I don't do those things, then I answer to my spouse. Those are the things I vowed to do with you. If I sin, I have to answer to God. I don't have to answer to you. Committing adultery is a sin, not in my vows. So if I commit adultery, I answer to God. That's not a reason for you to now break your vows and leave the marriage because I sinned, which is why I brought up the murder. Murder is a sin. I answer to God. I don't answer you. So if I murder, does that say, oh my God, he murdered somebody, I need to leave my marriage and leave my husband alone? No, you said you wanted to do this for better or for worse till death do us part. So if you have kids and your husband does something crazy like that, you stick beside him and you make it work until your kids are out of the household. I don't care how it looks, for better or for worse. That's the point. And what we're doing is we're making it okay to just say, you know what, times got a little hard. I need to leave. You know what? You made me mad. I think that was a sin. I need to leave. Forget these kids. They need to grow up with a happy mom. I don't care if they have a two-parent household. Nah, it's more important that they have a happy mom who's happily getting sex from one person. That woman, Neo's wife, never said anything about being unhappy outside of what they dealt with the cheating. So again, we got a husband who was perfectly fine, who has 95% of the shit. Everything was fine. The only thing she complained about was him cheating. She has a list. His wife has a list of things. And she's basically told us that even though he completes everything on that list, if you can't be monogamous, she's done. 95%. You got a millionaire man, a singer, a songwriter, an actor. He's famous. He's he has a network of men around him and people around him. He owns businesses. He's established because he's been in the game a long time and still can do good. You have all of this going for you and you saying no because he's not monogamous. I need to leave and break up the family. Wow. And then we have women like the commenter here, who's also a 40-year-old mother of 3, looking to get married, telling her, yes, girl, go out and leave and look for that happiness at 40. I think Neo's wife was 30-something. At 30-something years old, go out into this world with 3 kids and go try to find that husband who will be monogamous to you. Not understanding that man is going to have to live up to the Neo standards. She's been with Neo for 8 years. There's no more regular guys. There's no more average men. She's been living with a millionaire for 8 years. She can't go down, but she can't go up because she got 3 kids. There's no up. She may even be able to stay stagnant, but there's no upside to that. There's no other millionaires is going to be like, yeah, I need to go wife that. No. So then we're going to have another 40-year-old woman out here saying, where's my king? I need to find him. Going to a matchmaker, paying her to hook me up with somebody Who I'm mad because he pulled up in an Uber because I've been with Neo for 8 years. No. This makes no sense. What did I say to her? Also, Mr. Larry, you're putting all the obligation on keeping the family together on her, and that's not right. The whole reason Jada, she's speaking about Jada Smith and Will Smith, the whole reason Jada is acting a fool because she knows she can't lose him from messing over their marriage in any way. He's going to off himself soon. And you think that logic keeps a family? Shaking my head. Wrong. You're not putting enough obligation on keeping the family together. Regardless of what we say about Will Smith and Jada, he's sticking with the vows he made to stay with that woman. They both agreed to stay in that marriage till death. And that had to mean something. The problem is modern people don't put enough emphasis on making it work. See, what happens is when you start telling people that this is solid till death, what happens is people choose better. You wouldn't have a bunch of women picking men based on income and men picking based on looks because character and honor would matter more. See, what the real answer here is, make sure who you pick is more than just money. Make sure when you sign a contract and make vows, you know who you're doing it with because it's important. And vetting people is important. She's only responsible because she is the one leaving. He slept around, but he didn't leave. That matters. So yes, it's her fault the marriage is over. This shit matters. What I don't like is when we have these women. What the hell did she say? She said, I'm not putting enough, I'm putting it all on the woman. That is crazy because the woman is the one who's deciding to leave the marriage. He left the bedroom. He didn't leave the marriage. That does not mean, okay, well, I should leave this. If you have a contract, where was I going to go? I had so much thoughts into this and so many different ways I was going to go with this while I was at work. But of course now my brain is like blah, blah, blah. Where's I going to go with this? With the contract. Employee-employer. Let me think. I was going to go with this. Let me make sure she didn't say anything else before I get into it. I think that was it. Let me read my last part. By the way, we both agree adultery is a sin. What I said is that it's not the same as a marriage vow. If you're saying blah, blah, blah. Wait, is there more applause? She come back? She said something else? Okay, she did say something else. Let's get into that. Maybe it'll come back in my head what I said I was going to remember. Marriage is a contract. Break it and the contract is broken, period. You're attempting to guilt trip women instead of deal with men that don't put their families first. And it's not going to work. Single men can sleep around, not married men. These are the trade-offs, period. Before we get into the rest part, I agree with you. I agree that that is how it should be. The problem is we don't accept what is. What is that people do shit. People make mistakes. People make bad decisions. If I make a bad decision that breaks my wedding vow to you, and I'm not taking care of you, I'm not making sure that you're protected and provided for, then you should be able to leave and make sure that you and the family are provided for. If I decided to leave our bedroom and I made a mistake, and I had this conversation with somebody else, and she was like, he didn't make a mistake, he made a choice. No, the mistake was assuming that his wife would be okay with the life that he was living. That is a mistake. Neo made a mistake to assume that what he was doing was right and it was never going to be wrong based on the fact that he makes money. That's his mistake. The problem is we don't give enough leeway for mistakes in marriage. Marriage is supposed to be sacred. And when we have people thinking, if you live off of her logic, which is, okay, your husband does something that you deem unworthy, then you should be able to leave. What we're going to have is a bunch of people getting married and a bunch of people getting divorced. The modern era of people that we have now. Because women took the lead on these things and women started leaving divorces. 1 in 4 black women will get married, and you're telling this black woman who was the 1 in 4, who was the 25%, who was the anomaly, who was the minority, you're telling her to leave based on the fact that her man slept with other women that he didn't want relationships with. He specifically said he didn't want because he was paying for them. He could have easily just been in another relationship. He didn't want that. He just wanted to sleep around. You're telling her to leave. Fine. what? Where was I going with that? Fuck my brain. It's on overload, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me just read again. Single man can sleep around. A married man. These are the trade-offs. Period. Again, I agree. I agree with that. But then, and if you go by my logic, what I'm saying is to stay with the person you choose to marry. If you go by that logic, what we'll have is a bunch of people saying, if I have to stay with this person no matter what mistakes are made, then what I need to do is pick my person better. I need to make sure going into this that I know I'm not going to pick somebody who's going to cheat on me if I value them not cheating on me. If I pick somebody based on honor or respect, then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get that before I sign this contract. I'm going to pick better because I'm going to be under the influence that I have to stay here. When we do that, the upside and the downside. The upside to hers is marriages is single women will be quote unquote happy. That's her upside. Is as long as you're happy, then the whole family that the family is torn apart, and that's what matters. My upside is before Neo's wife, before Neo gets married, they'll say, you know what? I need to make sure she's okay with the fact that I'm gonna want to sleep around. Because I'm going to be stuck with this woman forever. So I need to make sure she's okay with that. Neil's wife will say, you know what? I need to make sure he's not going to sleep around because that's one of my deal breakers. So I'm going to have to pick better and vet better before I just jump into marriages with people. What's the downside to mines? It's people picking better. People saying, I need to think about this longer before I marry you. They'll take their time. They'll vet. And they'll make sure the people they're going to marry are better. The downside to hers is the state that we're in now, where divorces are at an all-time high, marriages are at an all-time low, but quote-unquote independent modern women are quote-unquote happy. She's happy. Just like the woman in the video we saw. She's happy, though, paying someone to try to hook her up and find her husband. She's happy, though. You talking, but I know you're not about to stay in a marriage to a chick who cheats and get pregnant. Because that's what sex leads to and whatnot. You're not about to legally be responsible for another man's child in that situation, all to say till death meant something. So stop it. If you love someone that deeply, you wouldn't dare place them in harm's way like that. Bringing home an outside child hurts the kids. I've lived through that bull, and I'm telling you now, there's nothing that indicates this behavior is healthy and leads to anything positive. This is emotional speaking at its finest. Because again, I never said anything positive was going to come from that. She's listening to what she wants to listen to. In that video, I never said this was a good thing that Neo did. What I said was you said for better or for worse. That's the reason for marriage. The reason we get married is to make sure that resources are passed on. Or if you do decide for women, the upside is you do decide to have a provider male as the leader of the household. When he passed or if something happens, all those resources go to you. That's the benefit of marriage, is to make sure that the family lives on, make sure that the name lives on, make sure that the bloodline lives on. I never said what Neo is doing is right. What I said is that you need to make sure that you have what's important up top. And if what's important to you is making sure that the family lives on and making sure that the kids grow up in the best environment, then what we need to do is put our feelings to the side, put our pride to the side, and say, you know what, even though my feelings are hurt, I want to make sure my kids grow up in the best environment for them. And that's with two parents in a household making this shit work. And when that 3-year-old and 15 years old, the moment that 3-year-old turns 18 and gets out my door, Neo, I'm gone to pursue my own happiness now. My kids are gone and they're out the house. I no longer have to be obligated to worry about their happiness. Now I can be worried about mine. Too many women like this are too much worried about their own happiness. And you miss it. And this is one of the reasons why you're also single now, because instead of looking for stepfathers, instead of looking for fathers for your children, you're out looking for husbands first. And that does not work if you value a man being a stepfather. That's the first thing you need to look for. And when I hear these lists, and when I've had some of these women come to me with the list, the first thing they say is, I want a husband, I want a best friend. Ma'am, you got 2 to 3 kids. The first thing you should be worried about is, can he help you raise these kids? But we too out for self. We too worried about me, and not we. It's not about you no more. It's about you and them kids. All together. It's a we thing. Y'all quick to say, you know what? You got to accept me and my kids, but y'all not quick to worry about the kids when y'all picking these men. This makes no sense. The logic don't make no sense. Fact is, they made vows to God first. If you don't respect your own word, you are a man. Are you a man? No. And to tell someone to pick someone who wouldn't do that, if there's a red sign that stays in 8 years, I'm going to step out just because. Again, stop it. It's so unfair to tell women to choose better when there's no way to know that. Totally passing by accountability. This is the problem. That's the problem right there. Because we tell men to choose better all the time. We already have consequences for men that decide, you know what, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. If the roles were reversed in Neo, and based on the legal society we have now, the roles were reversed. If she decided to so-called cheat and they had no proof, it's just Neo, you know what, I'm unhappy, I don't want to be here, he is financially obligated to pay her. Period. End of story. There is a consequence for a man leaving. We've already established that through the legal system. It's bad enough we established that through sins and vows. But we also said, you know what, we need to take that a step further and make that a legal precedent that if a man steps out, he has to support the wife and the kids for as long as they deem worthy. There's a consequence to this with men. So we know we have to pick better. Based on this, I was just having this conversation with a woman about marriage and why I'm afraid to get married, because the consequences are so great that they outweigh the benefits of marriage. To me, my personal opinion, marriage is slowly diminishing off my radar because it's just crazy. See, but like she said, this is again, we agree that marriage is something that you should pick better for. The problem is we stray when we start dishing out accountability. Because I hear that and I automatically think, you know what? I either got to pick completely the best of my abilities or I just don't get married. What she's saying is, no, you should still be able to get married, but you should still be able to get divorced. No, don't get fucking married. You don't make no sense with this stupidness. This is stupid. That's so unfair to tell a woman to choose better. It's unfair to tell somebody to pick better or stay single. That's the option. Stay single or pick better. This is stupid. When there's no way to know. There is a way to know. Pick better or stay single and keep your legs closed. But if it happens, it will ruin family relationships and some more stuff. These dudes be dust buckets getting the same benefits as a stand-up man, and you wonder why men don't see a benefit in marriage. Because y'all don't pick right. You're picking based on income and then being mad that he don't have no character and honor and respect. Pick based off of those. Again, the problem is not that y'all don't know how to pick. The problem is y'all picking the wrong shit. And then you want a man who's a high earner because you want to live that high value lifestyle. You want the men that are high earners to get the character and get the honor and get the respect. No, pick based off of that and date somebody broke then. You want to know the answer to this? Is to get with somebody while you're young and broke. Get with them while you're still in your prime, and you won't have to worry about this because y'all can grow up together and you can learn them. Picking while you're 40-something years old is a problem because you're not trying to learn. You're trying to jump straight into the high earner, the men that have the respect, and the men that have built themselves into something. You're trying to jump into that. And the problem is what those men want aren't what most 40-year-olds have. Let's keep reading. What the hell did I leave off at? These dudes be dust buckets, getting the same benefits as stand-up men, and you wonder why women don't see a benefit in marriage. Well, most of us still have to work, and tradition says a woman shouldn't have to if she's married. again, let's pick the good parts of what religion says and what the these different religions say. Let's pick the good parts, like a woman shouldn't have to work, and let's not pick the bad, that you should not leave a marriage. So please don't make excuses. Tell Neo to do better on the third go round versus attempting to sell hell to women. Telling women to stay with the man they decided to marry is selling them hell. You're crazy. The problem with you claiming I'm guilt tripping women is you skip past the part where I just said Will Smith stayed because he was supposed to. You can't talk about what you think I would do because that's still not the point. The point of this video was to say, is it okay to leave marriage because of cheating? And while I would leave, that doesn't make it right. I can't admit that. I didn't make this video based on my personal belief. This was about marriage, and that's not the point or purpose of marriage. And as long as people think like you and think that it's okay to leave because someone makes a bad choice or times get hard, we'll forever be in this messed up state that women put us in. You acted mad because I'm stressing that marriage should be held to a higher standard, and that's crazy, especially from a woman who wants marriage. If everyone went along with your plan, then we just keep getting divorced. If people listen to me, then they would choose better because there would be less of an option for divorce. If more men saw what Will Smith is going through, they would choose wives better, not leave at the first hint of bad times. I hated everything she said because it was basically saying, you know what? If shit get messed up, then we should be able to leave. And that's a prime example of why Kevin Samuel always said, then buy a dog. What she should do, what Neil's wife should do, is if you want companionship, go buy a dog. You want loyalty? Go buy a dog. You want monogamy? Go buy a dog. Don't choose man then. Choose single. You don't have to choose marriage. What I don't like in people is you choose something and you know the upside and downside and you still choose to do it anyway, and then you get mad at the downside. You know what men are. We know what men do. We know what high-earning men do. And y'all still choose to get with high-earning men. You still choose to pick based on the financial gain. You still choose to pick based on finances and then get mad that those men lack characteristics over here when you pick based on characteristics over here. How does this make sense? And then you think, okay, we're down the line, we're married, we created a family, I should now be able to leave because you don't have those characteristics that I knew you didn't have from jump because I picked you based on those. You make no sense, ma'am. None. I would love. I've been saying this. I finally got my system set up. Finally got the mic set up. I think we're ready. If you want to debate this topic in person, I'm perfectly fine with that. We can debate this on the air, live. And you can talk your talk, and I will talk mine. But what I won't have is you trying to tell me what I'm doing by telling women to stay with the man they choose. And I even said that Will Smith stayed because he was supposed to. Anybody else feeling froggy leap? Tell me where I went right. Tell me where I went wrong. And just remember, if you come over here talking that smack, I will call you out about it. Because I back up what I say. And I stand on the shit that I say. I'm not over here coaching and giving consulting and giving advice because I'm just saying the shit that I feel. I'm saying this shit based on my experiences. I'm saying this shit based on the information that we have in this world. I'm saying this shit based on the state of the world we're in. And I'm saying this shit based on what would be the best course of action for men and women in different scenarios. I weigh a bunch of stuff when I give advice. I'm not just coming up here and speaking just because. What makes no sense is continuing to do what we've been doing and just divorcing and having this dumbass point to where we got women out here complaining that men ain't shit Men out here still thriving. Men out here still doing the same thing that they've been doing. Women are the ones suffering and begging to go back into relationships and wondering where the real man at and needing husbands. Men have always been in this state. We started off the world in this state by being alone. You think if we go back to that, we're not going to be able to thrive and get back to where we are? We've done this before. Women haven't. I spoke to somebody and they told me that we're going over where the society that we're in is getting into a more individualistic state. And this is a woman. And the first thing I said was, hey, can I ask you a question? Can we rank based on 1, 2, and 3? Can we rank who suffers more in this individualistic society? Men, women, or children? She said, no, that's not a productive conversation. I said, but it is. And I'll tell you why when we rank them. I think she said, we both agreed that women and children are 1 and 2. Men are 3. Men are the ones who are going to thrive the most in the individualistic society. Men have already done this. Men know how to do this. This is one of the reasons we created marriage, because women were unable to really fend for themselves. In those third world countries where they don't have police and ambulance, women are still going through the same shit that they used to back here in America. But because we're in a first world country, because we've made it, to where we don't need men to survive, we forgot about these things. But again, we still both knew, even though she was kind of giving some feminism ideas, we still both knew that in this individualistic society, men thrive. And the ones who are going to suffer the most at the beginning is the children. And she was like, see, but you said the children suffer. I said, I said in the beginning, the children are going to suffer the most. In the end, the ones who are, it's going to switch. Because at some point, the children are just going to start following the leader and the strongest individual, which will probably be men. They'll start just following a leader and getting under the leadership of men if we get into the society where, the strongest survive. They'll start following. And then women are going to have to start following. But because y'all are so over here now, it's going to be tough. But if we got rid of all the police, if we got rid of all the ambulance, if we went back to that age, men would be perfectly fine. And the reason that this conversation was so productive, because she said, no, that's not productive, we don't need to talk about that. The reason that it is because we need to know the upside and the downside of decisions and of things that we go through. We need to know this because we need to know how to move based on the downside. I need to know as a woman. I would want to know, and I want my daughter to know. I want my mother to know. I want my sisters to know that if you don't do this, that's what's waiting for you. So it's up to you to change it, not men. Men are going to thrive either way. Men are going to eat either way. If you don't want it to go back to that, then you are responsible for making sure that it does not go back to that, not men. And I explained that to her because she was one of them people who didn't like to hear, when it gets down to those real deep conversations. She would have them to an extent, but when it really started hitting home, she would, I don't think that's productive. I don't think we need to go there. No, we do. Because at one point we were having a conversation. She was like, yeah, but what do you think about this? I said, well, yeah, that's on the women. She's like, okay, but then if it don't go this way, what do you think? I said, that's on the women too. She said, okay, but then if it's on this, what happens? Okay, well, women need to fix it. She said, so you want women to fix it? It's women's problem and blah, 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 women, women, women. She said, do you even like women? I said, of course I do. I said, that's why I can give y'all the blame that I give y'all, because in a man-led world, when the world was ran by men, in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 30s, in the caveman stage, when the world was ran by men, we didn't have these issues. Men created marriage. Man said, you know what? And because this was created in a man-led world. This was created when women didn't even have a right to vote. Man said, you know what? We want marriage. We'll do this. So men agreed to this. Men said, oh, we're okay with this. Men built that system. The problem is when women started getting the power, this shit started changing. Men didn't change the laws like this. Women did. Women have the rights. Women have the power now. So yes, it's up to the women to fix a lot of the shit that y'all changed. It was not like this before. That's why everybody always talking about the good old days, because the good old days when man ran the world, we were way better. as black people, as community, as humans, everything was better. I can't think of one thing that's better today that's not better when it was when so-called man ran the world. We need to know the upside and downsides of these things. So again, tell me where I went right, tell me where I went wrong. And as always, just remember, over here we argue facts, not emotions. I'm out.